So earlier today I did a web Zoom meeting with my best friend who lives in New Jersey on how to make her mother's famous sauce that I absolutely love. Having said that, I have a giant pot of sauce. So I'm gonna make manicotti for dinner tonight. So first I have my pot of boiling water, and then I have 14 manicotti shells that I'm just gonna drop into the water. It is salted and it does have olive oil in it to keep them from sticking together. And then we need these to cook, these shells to cook for about 8 minutes. And then we're gonna pull them out when they're al dente and let them cool off so that I can fill them with my cheese mixture. So here we are. I'm gonna set this timer for 8 minutes. And we'll be back. So our pasta has been boiling for about 8 minutes, and now I'm going to just drain them and then put them in this bowl so they can cool off. And then we'll be back at the table and filling the pasta. Okay, so I have my casserole dish, my giant pot of sauce that we just made, and all I'm gonna do is take a couple of spoons of it and spread it over the bottom of the pan so that our manicotti doesn't stick. So about 4, really just whatever will cover the bottom of your casserole dish. Now, you don't have to use my special homemade sauce at all. If you want to use a regular canned or jarred tomato sauce, and you know you love ragu or prego or whatever it is, go for it. It does not matter. So the next step is filling the manicotti. Growing up, my mother made manicotti all the time. And I watched her burn the tar out of her hands as she tried to fill each little shell with a spoon. So I came up with a new idea. I have a pastry bag. I'm going to take the filling, which is the same filling that I use in my cheese ravioli, which I also made recently because this is leftover. I'm going to spoon it into my pastry bag. Going to take my shells, open them up so you can see inside, and we're just going to start piping the filling in each end until you can see that they are full, like that. And then we're going to lay it down in our sauce. And we're going to continue like that until all 14 of our little shells are full. And you got to be very gentle with your noodles because they are delicate. And if you squeeze too hard, pick them up too carelessly, you could tear them in half. And that is not at all what we want. I need to fill this up some more. And that one needs just a little bit of extra. Which I'm just going to pipe in right there, like that. See? Got another one. There. Okay, so my husband said, how are you going to get 14 in there? How is it going to work? Well, y'all have seen me make enchiladas, and if you haven't, this is how it works. I'm just going to slide this over and shove one in. And again. And then the other two, I'm just going to stick end to end right there at that end. And there we go. See how that works? Now, all your manicotti is stuffed. We're gonna get that sauce again. A little bit more of it. And just cover the top. And then I would normally cover this in mozzarella cheese, but I don't have any, and we're on a coronavirus lockdown. So I'm going to instead cover this in Colby Jack cheese. But just so you know, normally you should use mozzarella if you have it, but if not, you'll be fine. So I have 4 cups, but I think I'm only going to use about 2. You don't need a whole lot of cheese since they're stuffed with cheese. And there we are. I'm going to stick these in a 375-degree oven for the next 20 minutes, and then we'll have dinner. So our manicotti was in the oven for about 20 minutes. It's now out. Usually we let it rest for about 5 or 6 minutes before we cut into it. So we'll be back, cut into it, and then I'll show you what it looks like on the inside. So I moved some of the sauce out of the way so I could find where the pasta ends. And then I cut in. And I've got 2 perfect shells. And now we're ready for dinner.